With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give them the coziest scuba matching set, the real gift is this. And this. And this. This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give a gift that goes beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. Glad to have you with me today. Hope you had a great extended long weekend. The phone number here, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. Delighted to have you with me. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can be on the live stream, show notes, podcast, all of that, whatever you need. Now, I got to begin with the news over the weekend, the sad news over the weekend. That is the death of the hostages held by Hamas. I need to begin it this way. There are a lot of people who say January 6th is disqualifying for Donald Trump. And I totally get that. And there are a lot of people on the right who say Kamala Harris bailing out of prison the people who burned down the small businesses across America during the summer riot season of 2020 is disqualifying for Harris. And it's disqualifying that Tim Walz didn't call out the National Guard. I got to tell you, if you want to get in a tit for tat of what's disqualifying, it's pretty damn disqualifying that the President of the United States sat on a beach working on his suntan while his vice president was campaigning across the country on a theme of joy, while an American citizen was getting a bullet in the back of his head held by Hamas since October 7th, and they decided to blame Israel. That, to me, is disqualifying. That's disqualifying. Donald Trump, when he was president of the United States, we didn't see Russia extend its gains in Ukraine that they had made when Barack Obama was president. We didn't see Hamas invading Israel with the help of Iran when Donald Trump was president. We didn't have American citizens held hostage by the Taliban or by Hamas when Donald Trump was president. We still have Americans held by the Taliban. And we have poor Hirsch killed in a tunnel in Gaza as his rescuers were approaching along with the other hostages. They were in Rafah, an area the Biden administration refused to give arms to Israel unless they agreed not to go. So the hostages were held where Joe Biden told Netanyahu not to go. Go figure. So they would put the hostages in an area of Gaza. The Biden administration stridently told Israel, don't go there. Israel went there and rescued some. Some Israel was able to rescue alive. We know now from press reports over the past several days that Hamas had instructed the captors to kill the hostages if the Jews approached. They were killed together. Not at the same time. The group knowing they were going to die as one died, waiting for which bullet or two would be theirs, knowing their time had come. Over 300 days held in captivity. Hamas firing guns into the backs of their heads, one by one, until there were none left. And Joe Biden worked on his suntan, and Kamala Harris campaigned on joy. If that's not disqualifying, I'm sorry. That is fundamentally disqualifying for me. I get attacked by people on the right who are Trump fans saying, you've got to be on the team. You've got to shut up now. I had a guy call on Friday and say, everything you say that's a criticism of Trump helps Kamala Harris. I'm not on a team. I used to be on a team, but the team that I thought I was on, I was clearly no longer on. I was an elected Republican at one point. I have no idea what the hell it means to be a Republican these days. I was an elected Republican. I'm a Trump donor. I supported him in 2020. I'll support him in 2024. It doesn't mean I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Just because I support a candidate doesn't mean it's my obligation to be quiet when I disagree with the candidate. No, I am not a cheerleader or a water carrier for any human being. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. We should all hold each other accountable. What is striking to me, however, is how quiet the Democrats are. And there will be some of the right who say, see, they get it. You should be quiet. It is morally reprehensible to me that there are no Democrats out there willing to stand up and say to the Democratic side, why is the President of the United States working on a suntan while an American is held hostage by Hamas? Why is there no military response from the United States to Hamas? Why is the gut reaction of the United States of America to blame Israel for not working harder for a peaceful solution that would keep Hamas alive? You cannot make deals with the devil. You cannot placate evil. It must be obliterated. Hamas is evil. To the extent there are people starving in Gaza, they're starving because of Hamas, not Israel. And it is the apologists for evil who refuse to tell you that. It is the apologists for Hamas who tell you Israel is to blame for the plight of the Gazan people. They're not starving in the West Bank where Hamas is not in charge. They're starving in Gaza, where Hamas not only is in charge, but started a war. It is morally reprehensible, in my mind, that these Israeli citizens, including one who is jointly an American citizen, would be murdered by Hamas. And the response from the British, the response from the Americans as well as Israel, you need to do better at getting a peace deal. It's not Israel's fault. Israel is the victim. We get lectured repeatedly, ruthlessly, regularly by the left that we can't blame victims unless the victims are Jewish, apparently, unless the victim is Israel. It's remarkable to me, though, that here is a president of the United States of America who clearly is not mentally fit to be in the job. And notice how the media that was insisting he didn't have the mental capacity to run again for president, they've been awful quiet since he dropped out. The media, of course, is in on it as well. They don't really care. They don't care about Joe Biden's mental faculty. They don't care about Joe Biden's ability to do the job. All they care about is stopping Donald Trump. And so they can't speak up. Someone's got to care about the truth. This isn't partisan politics. Not everything is about partisan politics. And I refuse to operate like the left and presume that everything is about the acquisition of power. got Tucker Carlson out there platforming a Nazi apologist, calling this man, regardless of the platforming of him, the best, the most honest historian. The man hates Winston Churchill and excuses the Nazis. Not going to be like that. The truth does set us free, and the truth is that so many Democrats are captive to their hatred of Donald Trump, they will turn a blind eye to Joe Biden sitting on a beach while an American citizen is taking a bullet to the back of the head by his terrorist captors, because they would rather have Kamala Harris than Donald Trump, because they don't really care about the truth. They don't care about the right thing. They care about their side having power. And for those Americans who do care about the truth, those Americans who are sitting on the sidelines, and those Americans who are thinking, I don't like Trump, I don't think I can vote for him, here is your qualifying line of demarcation. These people did not have Americans held hostage when Donald Trump was president. And while Joe Biden's president, he's sitting on a beach and these Americans are taking bullets to the back of the head. That should be disqualifying. Kamala Harris campaigns on hope and joy. How joyous is it that an American died with a bullet to the back of his head by Hamas? And by the way, I thought it was very notable that American media outlets like CNN, their first reaction to this is Hersh Goldberg dies in Gaza. How? They couldn't bring themselves to say Hamas put a bullet in the back of his head. The American Press Corps used the passive voice. They themselves couldn't bring themselves to blame Hamas. You see what's going on here? All of the intellectual vigor of the American Press Corps is going towards protecting Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. All of their energy is spent excusing them. You know, they've been attacking Donald Trump for making a partisan showing at Arlington National Cemetery. Never mind he was there by the Gold Star families. You know, the Gold Star families said they invited Kamala Harris and Joe Biden as well. Someone for the White House says, we don't have a record of it. The media's like, oh, they're lying. The Gold Star families are lying. So now the press will attack the Gold Star families. Donald Trump was there. And regardless of whether Donald Trump did something partisan or not in defiance of the rules, we would not be there and he would not be at Arlington but for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overseeing 13 American soldiers dying. The only reason Trump is at Arlington Cemetery is a story is because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris permitted 13 American soldiers to die in Afghanistan through their botched withdrawal. The problem should not be Donald Trump, but of course the media wants to pour energy into that. They would rather make the story about Donald Trump's behavior at Arlington National Cemetery than why the 13 died. Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this Sunday claimed that Kamala Harris was at Dover for receiving the bodies back from Afghanistan. She was not. Kristen Welker from Meet the Press has not corrected the record. Don't know that she cares to correct the record. I assume that she will correct the record. I presume. I have a higher hope for humanity than most. But the media will circle the wagons around Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They will demand that everything Donald Trump does is proof of his disqualification. But the real proof of disqualification is an old man sitting on a beach in Delaware while his vice president tours the country, claiming joy everywhere. There was no joy under the ground in a tunnel in Gaza. There was only death. And that an American citizen could be held that long since October 7th of last year. More than 300 days held in a tunnel, missing an arm, having been blown off on October 7th by a grenade. And our American president did nothing to rescue him. Our American president decided Israel was to blame and decided to withhold arms and direct Israel not to go in that direction, not to go into Gaza, not to go protect, not to go defend, not to go retrieve, not to go punish evil, not to go fight evil. And then evil decided in a tunnel under a street in Gaza to fire a bullet into the back of the head of an American citizen. And Joe Biden picked up his phone and ordered food from a beach while he worked on his tan as that American was dying. That, my friends, is disqualifying.
Sephora's biggest sale of the year is on. Get 20% off the best gifts, including makeup from brands like Rare Beauty.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
20% off skincare from brands like Glow Recipe and Summer Fridays.
These are my fave.
20% off hair care like Way and K18.
I'm obsessed.
And 20% off fragrances like Valentino, Donna, Born, and Roma.
So good.
20% off your purchase, now through December 15th. Shop now at Sephora and Sephora at Kohl's.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. Tony, going to you next. Welcome. How are you?
How you doing?
Good.
I just, everything you said was 100% on point. I'm almost in tears over this Hurst thing. I was rooting for him to come home.
Me too.
I've heard the story. This is just heartbreaking. I can't believe this man is, what you said, on the beach when all this happened. This is just, is this America? I just can't believe this. I'm hurt. And I don't even know him. I don't know his family, but just to hear the story, to know the story about him. And they don't even mention that he lost his arm trying to save other people. And before he was even buried, Biden was talking about that, blaming that, and who. You didn't even allow this man to be buried by his family before you're downing. He was a hero. You know what I'm saying? He lost an arm trying to help others, and you didn't even give his family time enough. Even though what he said was wrong, what Biden said was wrong, you didn't even give this man's family time to even bury him before you start saying negative things. Him and Harry, this is unbelievable. That's all I got to say.
Look, Tony, I appreciate it, and I think you're capturing a lot of people's emotions over this. I mean, literally, we get confirmation he's been killed Sunday morning, and Joe Biden's first reaction and Kamala Harris's first reaction is to say Israel should have done more for a peace deal. Do you know what Israel did? Israel accepted the terms of the American proposal, but Hamas would not accept the terms. Did you hear Joe Biden say that? Anybody? Did you hear Joe Biden point out Israel was willing to accept the terms of an American brokered peace deal and Hamas was not? Because it's true. The truth is supposed to set us free, is it not? That's the truth. So what more should Israel have done? Given the devil is due? That's apparently what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want. They want Israel to recognize Hamas's sovereignty and allow the monsters to stay in charge. You cannot allow monsters to stay in charge. You must slay the monsters, which Israel is committed to doing. Now, I hope you'll go check out ericforhillsdale.com because, Hillsdale actually has some great pieces that you can get available completely for free about the Israel situation and dealing with the Palestinians and the history of the region. And it's free. They want to educate you, not indoctrinate you, at ericforhillsdale.com. You can subscribe to the great podcast network using your favorite podcast app. You hear great conversations from Larry Arnn and others in the podcast app. You can also get Imprimis, which I have gotten ever since I was in law school. It's show prep for my mind on a regular basis, comes free of charge. Everything you get from Hillsdale is free. Why? They've had a mission since the 1800s to provide high-quality free education where possible across the country. They've expanded into K through 12 education as well and their college-level classes at Hillsdale College. You can get so much of it for free. You can go to ericforhillsdale.com. Begin your relationship with Hillsdale College today. It's well worth it. Deeply intriguing information. ericforhillsdale.com.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means. It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Amazon for all your gifting needs.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I gotta mention something real quick. I'm not taking credit for this. I don't want you to hear me saying I'm taking credit for it because I don't think I deserve any credit for it. I'm just glad it happened. I said on Friday on the program, much to the criticism of some of you, that Donald Trump needed to clarify his opposition to Amendment 4 in Florida before pro-lifers went to church on Sunday. And before the sun set on Friday, he did just that and said he would be opposing Amendment 4. Now, I need to walk you through this, and it's very important that you understand this because of the way the left plays games. Listener Steve has emailed me. He says, I listen to you every day. You're the only political radio personality to educate. You consistently detail reason and truth and do not constantly use the I word. This is why I'm confused by your description of Florida's Amendment 4, abortion until fetal viability. You stated a baby could legally be killed if 1 foot was inside the mother. I read that is not the case. Please let me know if the article is incorrect. This is the word games the pro-abortion crowd uses. So he's got a piece from Tampa's Channel 10, WTSP. Abortion until birth, what we can verify about Florida's Amendment 4 ballot measure. Ron DeSantis claims that you could have abortion until birth. The answer is false. Amendment 4 would allow abortion until viability as defined by existing state statute and only after if necessary to protect the health of the mother. This is what abortion activists hide behind, and it's sad to see this TV channel resorting to this lie. Amendment 4 in Florida that Donald Trump says he opposes, thank goodness. I want to be very clear with you. Despite what the liars in the press tell you, it absolutely means until the moment the foot of the child is out of the birth canal, an abortion is still possible. Why? Florida law defines viability as the stage of fetal development when the life of a fetus is sustainable outside the womb through standard medical measures. Who gets to determine fetal viability? Number one, the abortionist does. The abortionist does. Here's what Amendment 4 states. No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion until viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by the patient's health care provider. That's the Kermit Gosnell language. Here's what the evolving shift in this language means, and this is very important you understand this. What are the 3 exceptions conservatives have long said for abortion? Rape, incest, life of the mother. What the pro-abortion community has twisted it as is health of the mother. And health is not defined. Clinicians who provide obstetric care are in the best possible position to consider all factors when attempting to predict viability. Is the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology somewhere around 24 weeks of a full-term 40-week pregnancy? But what if the clinician who provides obstetric care, who is in the best position to consider all factors when attempting to predict viability, says, no, turns out we could tell when the baby came out of the womb it wasn't viable. But there's a larger issue here, and that is the health of the mother. Because the health of the mother is a nebulous term, and it's what the abortion providers have used. So, for example, true story here. Women know this, men may not. It's a recurring meme on the internet. Natural childbirth My wife complains about this regularly when my children do something. If she sneezes too hard, coughs too much, she says she's afraid she'll pee herself. Why? Natural childbirth. Doesn't mean she's going to. It's a recurring joke in our house, and it is a embarrassing punchline, I might add, for a number of women. That birth, natural childbirth, affected the health of the mother. Kill the kid. No, I'm not actually, I want you to understand, I'm not being hyperbolic here. This is actually the way they justify it, that because the birth of the child could render a female incontinent, therefore the child has affected the mother's health. Therefore, before the child comes completely out of the womb, the child's got to be killed. The mother could struggle with postpartum depression. Therefore, that has affected the mother's health. Therefore, got to perform an abortion. The child is so large, the mother doesn't want a C-section because she doesn't want the permanent scarring, and she's afraid now here at the end of the delivery to give birth to a 10-pound baby. Well, got to cut up the kid and get it out of there. Don't want to affect the mom's birth canal that much. Y'all, I'm not making this up. These are the examples that are given for health of the mother. Health of the mother is the most broad, nebulous term, and that health of the mother standard is to be determined by the patient's healthcare provider. If that patient's healthcare provider is Planned Parenthood, do you not understand that until the birth of the child, they will come up with any excuse for an abortion? It is a lie for WTSP Channel 10 in Tampa, Florida, to tell you that it's false. Abortion until birth is false. That's Ron DeSantis' statement, and they're fact-checking it as false, and that is a lie. They themselves are lying. They themselves should know better, but they themselves don't care. They are advancing an abortion agenda with claiming that Ron DeSantis' statement is false, when every single person on the left and the right knows that is the case. They could have said until viability, but they didn't. They decided to add in there as well health of the patient's health determined by the patient's healthcare provider. And if that patient's healthcare provider is Planned Parenthood, they can find a way to justify that the patient's health would be affected. Therefore, there has to be an abortion. That is a clever wordplay by abortion activists to say that they don't want abortion until birth. It's been focus group approved by the abortion activists, and it's the language they now use, but it ultimately means abortion until the kid is completely out of the birth canal. And it's really shameful that a media outlet would hide behind a fact check to deny that. It's actually really shameful that they would do that. And you should know that it was this channel in Tampa that decided to play that game. And you should know that that is a twisted word game that they're all engaged in. When it says health of the mother, that means abortion until birth, because there are so many things that can affect the health of the mother. If it changes the mother's lifestyle in any way, Planned Parenthood considers it, as does the Guttmacher Institute, which is where everybody gets their information on abortion from, which, by the way, is funded by Planned Parenthood, that alters the body and existence of the mother. Therefore, it is affecting the health of the mother. Therefore, abortion is acceptable under the law. So if you support abortion until birth, okay, I think you're wrong. That's what Amendment 4 does. But they know they can't say abortion until birth because that doesn't poll well. What polls well is the health, not the life of the mother, but the health of the mother. The life of the mother is a more objective standard. If you give birth to this child, will the mother die? There are situations where that is the case. Health of the mother is completely different. Does any bodily impact occur because of the birth of the child? Obviously so. Any woman who has ever given birth to a child will tell you her body was absolutely affected by the birth of that child. Therefore, her health has been affected. Therefore, abortion. That's the nebulousness of the language chosen to hide the position. And the fact that the media is collaborating with the left on this is appalling. It's shameful that that's happening, trying to debunk this in order to get something passed that would, in fact, allow abortion up until the moment of birth. So just know that going into that. And good for Donald Trump coming out against this. Donald Trump made it clear on Friday, while he thinks the 6-week fetal heartbeat ban that is very popular among pro-lifers gives too little time to have an abortion, that this is unlimited up until birth, and that's too much for him. And he should have, in fact, there's a story written Friday evening in the New York Times that his gut was to go with a nationwide 15-week abortion ban, that he thought it would be popular. The polling looked good, but he was talked out of it by advisors. He probably should have gone in that direction. Now, that's not going to get passed by Congress, mind you. That was how they talked him out of it, that there's no way to get this by Congress because of the filibuster in the Senate. But at least he came out against this amendment, making it very clear he opposes it. So, Steve, I hope that answers your question. And for all of you down there in Florida, you need to understand Amendment 3. Now, this is the wild one. Amendment 3 in Florida is funded by people who stand to profit by recreational marijuana. And the spin that they're giving on that one is that it would allow the regulation of marijuana in public, except what they're not telling you is that the language of the amendment, it would allow the regulation of medical marijuana, but not recreational marijuana. So if you have a medical marijuana card in Florida, it would allow the state to prohibit you from smoking it in public. But if you're recreationally using marijuana, the state would not be allowed to prohibit you from using it in public. Now, I've got pothead friends of mine who even they are kind of grossed out by the smell of weed everywhere. If you pass Amendment 3 in Florida, you are allowing the smoking of recreational marijuana in public, and the police will be able to do nothing about it, and no local zoning or ordinance will be allowed to crack down on it. That's how permissive Amendment 3 is. Amendment 4 is the abortion one. And if you go with the abortion one, you are endorsing abortion until the moment of birth, till the final foot of the child is pulled out of the birth canal, and it doesn't matter that the media is lying to you about it, saying that's not the truth. I'm telling you the truth. There's a reason they went with the language health of the mother and not life of the mother, because the health of the mother, as determined by the provider providing the abortion, is that nebulous that they can get away with anything. You just need to be honest about it, and you need to understand the truth of the matter in Florida, and shame on that news outlet for lying to the people in Tampa. Now, it's another reason I like Americans for Prosperity, because they believe in educating Americans with the truth, and they go door to door, knocking on doors, providing voters the truth about common sense conservatism. They provide voters the truth about economic reform in this country, about free markets and free people, and about families and school choice. They'd love to have you on their team. They've got chapters in almost every state. All you have to do is go to americansforprosperity.org. americansforprosperity.org. You sign up with Americans for Prosperity. They give you the information so you're the most informed person in your circle of friends. But beyond that, you're also the person who knows how to persuade others. They teach you how to go to your school board or your city council and advocate for charter schools and school choice. They teach you how to go to your legislature and do the same thing. They make you super informed. They can even teach you how to be a door knocker for campaigns to get out the vote. All you have to do is go to americansforprosperity.org. americansforprosperity.org. Again, they got chapters in almost every state. They got a chapter in your local community, and if they don't, you can start one. americansforprosperity.org. This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. Wherever you are nationwide, First Liberty can help your business grow. If you're buying a building, buying a franchise, you need an equipment loan. First Liberty makes their own lending decisions. They have since the 90s, and the Frost family, they're standing strong. They're going to be there with you, helping your business grow. Reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com. Tell them I sent you, firstlibertyga.com. I am deeply disturbed by this pattern and practice of governmental administrations blaming the Jews. And it's horrifying to me that our president, the president of the United States of America, would be sitting on a beach while Goldberg Pollin is being killed by Hamas. And then his first reaction, the president's first reaction is, well, Israel's got to do more. Why not Hamas? And the British would suspend arms sales to Israel. That is a moral abomination that Israeli citizens are murdered by Hamas, and their reaction is to punish Israel. Time and time again, this just reinforces to so many people the uniqueness of Israel in that it must go it alone in the world because of the world's hostility to Jews. Anti-Semitism is a thing. And for a while Donald Trump was president, the left could peddle this belief that it was uniquely a fixture of the right. And in fact, you've got Tucker Carlson putting on a Nazi apologist on his video cast, and Candace Owens out there serving as a Nazi apologist, blaming the Jews for things, to the point that Candace Owens' own father-in-law has had to come out and condemn her statements. But you also see the march of anti-Semitism on college campuses from the left. There was a pro-Israel rally in New York yesterday. It was a peaceful gathering of individuals to mourn the loss of the dead hostages. And then the Hamasniks showed up and turned violent, covering their faces. You know, the pro-Israel people never have to cover their faces. It's always the Hamasniks who act out violently. In Michigan, a Republican group, I love this story, a Republican group in Michigan has started running ads reminding Hamas of all of Kamala Harris's pro-Israel statements. And you know what the Democrats are doing? The Democrats are claiming it's a dirty trick. How is it a dirty trick to tell people you support Israel? That should tell you everything you need to know about Kamala Harris right now, that she believes it's a dirty trick to tell people she said nice things about Jews. This is the world in which we live. It really is appalling that the Democrats are just infested with this level of anti-Semitism. So much so that an American citizen could be murdered by Hamas terrorists, and Joe Biden decides he's got to lecture Israel about it. When we come back, I'm not a big Elon Musk fan, but what they're doing to him over Twitter is absurd. In Brazil, they've banned Twitter. You've got Robert Reich calling for Elon Musk's arrest for peddling misinformation, and you've got Kamala Harris actually blasting social media companies for daring to not be regulated and allowing people to say what's on their mind. You want to call Donald Trump an authoritarian, that's fine, but the fact that you can't call Kamala Harris an authoritarian when she wants to shut down institutions that allow you to speak your mind plainly, unrestricted, that's authoritarian for you. When you have an intellectual figure like Robert Reich out there calling for the arrest of Elon Musk for daring to allow people to say things that might not be true. After I just conveyed to you a Tampa Bay news channel is running a fact check that is itself a lie, and you got all these people on the left upset about you being able to tell the truth or maybe not the truth on social media, and only the media companies should have a monopoly on being able to get information out. There's your authoritarians, particularly when so many of the media outlets these days lie themselves, tell half-truths, mistruths, and misinformation and disinformation. We need to talk about this when we come back. And also, more and more Americans are working 2 full-time jobs in Kamala Harris's economy. I've got the date on that for you to hear. Take your phone calls as well.